Good day, y'all. It's your Island Girl T. She's back again with another video. Thank you for all my friends and family for tuning in. And for those of you who are stopping by for the very first time, you're always welcome to stop by here on the island and check out what is displayed here. As those of you who know, who've been following me from the very beginning, I tend to go by themes each month, and this month our theme has been love. And so we've talked about different types of love, and if you're not sure what I'm referring to, feel free to head on back and check out the other videos that have been made this month, and I hope that you'll be encouraged. But today we want to focus mainly on the challenges of love. So let's begin. If you see me looking down, I've got some notes in front of me because it's such a vast topic and there's lots of things to cover. So bear with me as we begin. So when we think of love, we often picture beautiful things. Sunsets, warm embraces, laughter shared between two people who seem made for each other. We grow up believing that love, when real, should be easy, effortless, and even magical, right? But real love, lasting love, tells a complete different story. And those of you who know, you know. Real love is not perfect, but it is powerful because it seems to always survive imperfection. Those of you who think that love is perfect, think again. At the end of the day, we tend to read a lot of novels and watch movies or YouTube videos about whether it's a husband and wife relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, or even another type of relationship, perhaps two siblings or a child and a parent. Sometimes the way that it's displayed in the movie or even in the what should I call it? The novel is really a bit, you could tell it's just for the camera, so to speak. Now, real love grows not in the absence of challenges, but because of them. If you ever talk to an elderly couple who's been married for a while, and if you sit down and talk with them and they begin, if you wish, to share their story with you, often they will tell you about some difficult times, some hard times that they've been through, whether it was sickness or addiction or depression that, afflicted one spouse and the other one had to really just pick up for the other and carry them for however long it took until they were able to, get out of that situation. Job loss, like there's so many different things that come into play when it comes to love and relationships in terms of a man and woman, and love is not always peachy cream during that time, but what it does do is those trials and difficulties, it helps to strengthen a bond that was made through marriage and built over time. Today we want to talk more about the challenges. Now, because it's through facing these very strong challenges that love becomes something deeper, stronger, and more beautiful than we could ever imagine. The first aspect, or the first topic that I want to discuss is the illusion versus reality. Let's start with one of the first great challenges of love, and that is letting go of the illusion and embracing reality, real life. When we first fall in love, everything seems perfect. We put each other on pedestals. We imagine we found the one person who will finally fill that empty place inside of us. But time has a way of peeling back the layers, kind of like an onion. We start to see the cracks, the quirks, and the differences. Whew, we're getting deep, y'all. And if we're not careful, we can become disappointed. or even disillusioned. But here's the truth. Real love doesn't happen when we find the perfect person. Real love begins when we accept that no one is actually perfect and decide that the imperfect person standing before us is still worthy of our love. And I always have to, go back to the love of God for a moment. Every single human being that was ever made or ever born on the face of this earth, we are imperfect human beings. And if we're ever trying to compare or decipher what love really is, that is the most perfect form of love that I can possibly think of. Because even in our imperfection, God still loves us. He still loves us. When we disappoint Him, when we fail Him, He still loves us. The first challenge of love is simple, but it's profound. Can you love the real person and not the fantasy? Can you? This is a tough one, guys. But if you can embrace their humanity and still choose them, you've already begun the sacred work of loving well. Can you love well? Can I love well? This is something that we're working on every day, folks, because it's not easy. The second topic, or the second thing I want to talk about in this video, is communication. This is a real big one. This is the second great challenge of love. We think communication means talking, but real communication is much harder. Real communication means being brave enough to speak your truth and patient enough to truly hear someone else's truth, not just your own, even when it's uncomfortable. Now, let's be honest. Most of the time, we don't want to hear anybody else's truth. We only want to talk about our truth and from our point of view and how we see it. But this is where things become more challenging. Miscommunication is one of the quietest killers of love. I personally have had so many experiences of this. A simple miscommunication and everything goes out the window. One party now believes a certain thing and the other party believes something different. It's not the grand arguments that tear people apart. It's the small, daily misunderstandings that build up like invisible walls between hearts. This is so true. And in my years of going through life, through different situations, I have learned this, that one simple miscommunication, and it doesn't have to be anything large. Most times it's actually something very small. And before you know it, the door has closed. And sometimes if we make that first step to be the bigger person and to break down those walls, we're able to save that relationship by simply saying, let's sit down and talk and let me listen to what you have to say. Sometimes what we argue about isn't even the real issue. You're not really mad about the dishes left in the sink. You're hurting because you feel unseen, unheard, unappreciated. In love, communication means learning to ask, what's really going on here? And it means learning to listen, not just to words, but to the emotions underneath the words. It takes humanity, it takes vulnerability, it takes time. So the question is, do you have the patience? Do you have patience to be able to take that time to sit down and to talk about what's really going on? And like I mentioned before, don't just speak, but take time to listen as well and to gain knowledge about what's really happening. And most times, if you listen carefully, you can figure out exactly where the miscommunication came in. And this is something that we are all still learning, but every day we have to put it into practice and learn to listen more and talk a bit less. Now, another challenge, or the third challenge, the third bridge that we often have to cross, and it can be difficult at times, but definitely necessary. This is the challenge of trust. Trust isn't automatic, even when love is strong. Trust has to be built moment by moment, day to day. And it's not always the big things, it's the small little things that people or that partner does or says that helps to build your trust, that you can honestly say, you know what? I know that he won't do that without talking to me first. Or I know that she would never act that way before having a conversation. And so by building that trust every day with those small little things, we're able to build something solid. Some of us walk into relationships carrying old wounds. Maybe someone betrayed us before. Maybe someone broke some promises that should have been kept. Have you ever experienced that? I definitely have, for sure. And so even when the new person is kind, we find it hard to let down our guard. And this is why it's so important to take time to heal before jumping into another relationship. Take the time that you need. Let your heart heal. Allow your mind some time to process and to heal from those wounds. It's not easy to trust once that trust has been broken. And if it becomes a pattern, it even becomes more difficult to lay aside those old wounds and to make sure that those wounds are actually healed, that they're not still seeping, that they're not still bleeding, that they're not still open and raw. Take time every day to put some salve on those wounds and allow it to heal until you are fully ready to go into another relationship. And when you do go into that next relationship, don't take the old wounds and rip them open again and throw it back in that person's face who doesn't even hardly know you. But free yourself, heal properly, and then be free. Now, trust requires vulnerability. Ouch, stepped on a toe with that one. Being vulnerable is not always easy. It requires giving someone the ability to hurt you and hoping with everything in you that they don't. That's a huge risk. And some of us aren't willing just yet to take those risks because of what we've been through. When trust is broken, even by accident, rebuilding it is slow and it's even painful. Very, very painful. If you know, then you know. But the reward is worth it, because a relationship rooted in trust feels like freedom. It feels like breathing easy with someone else's heart in your hands. The challenge is clear. Can we choose to trust, even knowing the risk? Can we? Those of you who've had your heart broken more than once, sometimes you don't want to take that risk. And to be honest, I can't blame you. I cannot blame you. But if it is true love, if it's real love, if it's someone who really wants to build with you, then it's worth the risk. This one is a tough one. Really tough one. Sacrifice and selflessness. Another deep challenge. Real love asks us to give, not just to take. Have you ever been in a relationship where you're the only one giving and the other person sees no need to do their half or do their part? That's challenging. Real love asks us to give, not to take, not just to take. It asks us to lay down our pride, our comfort, sometimes even our dreams, the things that we want so badly. Not because we're forced to, but because we want to. No one should ever be forcing you to sacrifice in love. But because of love, we choose to sacrifice. Love is not about losing yourself. It's about finding a new self, a bigger self. That includes another person's hopes, hurts, happiness as a part of your own. So it should be an amalgamation. It should be a coming together of sacrifices, not just of one party, but of both parties. You each on both sides of the scale making those sacrifices. And we see that even in a parent and child relationship where in the early stages of life, as that child is growing, that parent is often making much sacrifice to make sure that that little boy or girl is well taken care of, well educated. So many sacrifices are made. And as that child grows older, they are now giving back to that parent who has sacrificed for them. Now they are taking the time to make sure that mom and dad are okay. So it's an exchange of love. Sometimes it means making small sacrifices. So what does that look like, making small sacrifices? So choosing to forgive even when you're still angry. This is a hard one. Choosing to show up even when you're tired. When you've come home from work, husbands, wives, and you're exhausted, brothers and sisters, siblings, when you're exhausted and your brother asks you to do something for him and you're just tired, but you're like, I love my brother, I love my sister, I'm gonna do this for them anyway. Husbands, when you come home from work, you're exhausted and your wife says to you that, the engine needs looking at, or she needs an oil change, or she needs a tire replaced, and you're exhausted, but you're like, what? I love my wife, and so I'm gonna make sure that I go out there and change that flat tire. Wives, you come home from work, you're exhausted, but you still say, what? Let me go cook my husband, my family a meal. So this is showing up even when you're tired. Choosing to apologize even when you don't feel like it. Ouch, stepped on another toe. Oh boy, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one. Sometimes it pays to just say I'm sorry and move on. Even when you're still frustrated. But just to keep the peace and to keep things flowing nicely, you say, you know what? Let me be the bigger person. Sometimes it means making big sacrifices. Moving cities, changing jobs, giving up something good for something greater. The relationship itself. How much does your relationship mean to you is the question. And depending on your answer will also depend on what you're willing to do to sacrifice for that individual. But real love knows sacrifice isn't really a loss. It's an investment in something beautiful and long-lasting. The next thing we want to talk about is growth and change. One of the hardest, most necessary challenges of love is growth. People change. You will not be the same person 5 years from now, and neither will your partner. You're gonna grow older. That's just the way of life. Your views will change. Your desires and goals will change as you get older, as years pass on. Sometimes you will grow together. Sometimes you'll grow apart if you're not careful. So it's important to do the little check-ins and to continue to date each other. Spend more time with each other. If it's not a husband and wife relationship, sibling or parent, it's still good to take time to go out and do things with each other, to spend time with each other, so you can get to find out, what's changed for that person. How are they growing? The challenge of love is staying committed, not just to who someone was when you met them, but to who they are becoming. That's important as well. This requires encouragement. It requires curiosity. It requires celebrating each other's victories, even when they take you in unexpected directions. Whew, we're diving deep. Love thrives when two people choose to keep discovering each other again and again. This is a lot of work. If you're considering being in a relationship, this is a lot of work. So if you're up to the challenge, take the challenge, but roll your sleeves up and prepare to get your hands dirty, because this takes a lot of work, a lot of patience. Love thrives when two people choose to keep discovering each other again and again and again. It's a different chapter every time. It's like, in a sense, it's almost like you're dating someone new, because that person is changing and their lives are changing as well as yours. Here's the next thing. Forgiveness. This might be the greatest challenge. There is perhaps no greater challenge in love than forgiveness. No matter how deeply you love someone, they will hurt you. It's a given. And you will hurt them. Sometimes it will be small, a careless word, a forgotten promise. Sometimes it will be big, a betrayal, a deep disappointment. Forgiveness is not easy. It is not pretending it didn't hurt. It is not immediately trusting again. Forgiveness is choosing to let go of resentment. Take a breath. This is tough, y'all. This is not easy. This is not for the weak of heart. It's not for the weak of heart. Choosing to believe that healing is possible. Choosing to give someone the chance to be better. Forgiveness is a gift you give not only to the other person, but to yourself. Because carrying anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness actually sets you free. This is a really big topic right here. Forgiveness is an amazing thing. And what people don't seem to realize is sometimes they want to, I'm going to hold on. They did me something wrong, so I'm going to hold on to this thing, and I'm not going to forgive them. I'm going to teach them a lesson. And at that time, that person's probably long done, forgot about what they even did to you. They may not even remember you. But you're trying to teach them a lesson by holding on to that anger. And the truth is that you holding on to that anger is making you worse. It's making your condition worse. Have you ever seen a person who has been extremely bitter over many, many years? Often it gets to the point where they're actually now physically unable to live their life the way that they want to, because that unforgiveness has gotten so deep inside their heart and mind that it's now begun to affect them physically. They're now physically ill. So you are literally doing yourself more harm to hold on to that resentment. It may not be easy, but I encourage you. We say that we love ourselves, but if we truly loved ourselves, we would let go of the resentment. We would forgive, because it truly does set us. So in conclusion, what is the beauty behind the struggle? Why do we do it? Why do we still choose to love? If love is so hard, if it demands so much, if it guarantees us heartbreaks, misunderstandings, frustration, sacrifice, why do we still choose it? Because love, even with all its challenges, it's still the most beautiful force in the world. Right? Those of you who are in marriages or relationships or have children, you know that even if that child disappoints you, even if they hurt you, they do something to frustrate you, that's still your son, your daughter. You're still gonna love them no matter what. If it's a spouse, you're still gonna love that person no matter what, because there are some benefits. There's a lot of benefits to love. It is love that makes life meaningful. It's love that teaches us patience, courage, humility, and grace. It is love that draws out the very best parts of who we are. The challenges of love are not signs that love is failing. They are signs that love is alive, growing, stretching, deepening. Real love isn't easy, and that's a fact. As a matter of fact, it was never meant to be easy. And I gotta go back to this again. When Christ died on the cross, when he was whipped and spat on, disrespected to the utmost level of disrespect, that type of love, I don't think any of us can match that love. Not one single one of us would put up with that for someone else. Let's be real. Would you be willing to be whipped 30 plus times? Would you be willing to be spat upon, slapped in the face, nails put through your hands and feet for love? That's why I have to keep just saying that God truly is our prime example. He really is. He really, really is. That's what makes that statement so true. Love is not easy. It's very hard. Real love is a masterpiece that we create together, brushstroke by brushstroke, moment by moment, mistake by mistake, and forgiveness by forgiveness. It's not perfect, but it's beautiful beyond measure. And in the end, the challenges of love are what we make love. Love. I know this has been a long video, but it was definitely necessary and needed. The challenges of love. A lot to think about, a lot to ponder on. I certainly hope that this video has helped somebody here today. It's your Island Girl T coming out of nothing but a heart of love for all of you. Thank you again for stopping by. Thank you again for listening. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, because you already know what's up. Your girl's got many more videos coming as we get close to the month of May. Love y'all and see you soon. Mwah.